What is up, guys? I'm going to be going over the last 3 rules in the grammar packet. So rule 9, 10, and 11. So if you guys have questions about this, feel free to email me, comment on the video, again, whatever works best for you guys. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're starting on rule 9, which is page 35. Again, remember, as you guys go through these packets, I like to keep the example or definition sheet with me because it helps me go through some of the questions or worksheets, plus some of the words that are on the rule worksheet are the same exact examples that are, or the same exact words that are on the worksheets. So we're going to start with rule number 9, pronouns. A subject pronoun replaces a noun used as the subject of a sentence. So I, they, you, he, she, it, we. Object pronouns replace a noun used after an action verb or preposition. Me, us, him, them, you, her, it. And then reflexive pronouns refer back to the subject. So myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So those are all of the pronoun types on page 35. Moving on to page 36. This page is split up into 3 different sections. So I'll do the first section that has the first four, because it gives one example of each. So number 1, completing a big project is hard to do by yourself. So you are supposed to underline the pronoun and then write the type of pronoun it is on the line. So I underlined yourself, and yourself is a reflexive pronoun. I know that because it is one of the examples on page 35. So number 2, you will have an easier time working with friends. I underlined you and put it as a subject pronoun. And then number 3, you can individually complete a part of the overall project. Again, I underlined you and put that as the subject. And then number 4, it will be easier to finish that way. I put that as an object. Object. So that is for page 36. You guys will need to do the next 2 sections on your own for page 36. Moving on to page 37. So it says circle the correct pronoun or pronouns in each sentence. I'm only going to do the first 3 on this page because this one's pretty easy when you read the sentences out loud to yourself. So number 1, Tim and I had a great time at Disneyland, or Tim and me had a great time at Disneyland. Tim and I is the correct pronoun for that one. We rode on long, winding roller coasters, or us rode on long, winding roller coasters. I circled we. Number 3, they didn't scare us, though. Them didn't scare us, though. I circled they didn't scare us, though. That one's kind of tricky because there's 2 in there. I, again, like to read these out loud to myself because I think it's easier to hear the difference than it is to try to write it or think it in your head. So you guys will have to do the rest of the first section and then the second section on page 37. And then moving on to page 38, you are only going to use each one of the words in the word box 1 time. So after you use one of the words, go ahead and cross it out, and you will be good to go. So I'll do number 2. Talked about the best way to find their way back to camp. You also can do it this way. I didn't do it this way. I just kind of looked at the word box and decided which one worked best. But if you are struggling with this section, I would recommend putting each word in the word box in the sentence and seeing if it makes sense. If not, it's probably not the correct answer. But for number 2, I put, they talked about the best way to find their way back to camp. Then I also, it doesn't say that you have to do this in the instructions, but I also wrote the type of pronoun at the end of each sentence. So they, number 2, is the word, and I put that it is a subject pronoun. Then I'll do number 6. Kevin decided she was right. So she is the pronoun, and then again, that's a subject pronoun. And then we'll do number 10. Linda said she would share her jerky. Her is the pronoun, and object is the type of pronoun. So that is all for rule number 9. We will move on to rule number 10, which starts on page 39. So rule number 10 are more types of pronouns. There are indefinite pronouns, which do not name the words they replace. So words like everyone, other, everything, each, anybody, nothing, somebody, something, no one, or none. Demonstrative pronouns point out a noun without naming it. So this, that, these, those. And interrogative pronouns are used in asking questions. Who, whose, whom, which, and what. So again, I like to keep these sheets out when I am going over stuff. So I have a reference sheet. So if we go over to page 40, it says write an indefinite pronoun from the box below in each blank. FYI, you will not use every word in that box in the paragraph. At least I didn't. There's not enough lines for the words they give you. But you're working with indefinite pronouns. So those are the ones that do not name the words that they replace. So again, what I like to do is try to read the sentence and see if I can figure out which one goes best in the blank spot, or if that doesn't work for you guys, you can try to put every word in the blank spot first and then stop when you think you have the right one. I will do the first 2. If you guys want to do the rest of the page, not want to do, you have to do. So blank was excited about the trip to the rainforest. I put everybody was excited about the trip to the rainforest because that's just the one that seems to work best out of all the words listed because these 2 paragraphs do talk about like a group of people. Blank in the class had ever been so far away from home. I put no one in the class had ever been so far away from home. Again, it just sounds like it makes the most sense and it works in the whole like subject of the 2 paragraphs. If you guys have questions about this page though, let me know. I know some of these fill in the blank ones can be tricky, especially when you're just getting started. But that is what we're going to do for page 40. So then page 41, I will just do, I'll do like 3 or 4 of these. I'll try to do one of each actually. So identify each of the words in bold as indefinite, demonstrative, or interrogative pronoun. Write your response on the line. So I'll do number 1. What was that noise? Mom asked. What is the bolded word? That is interrogative. I think interrogative ones are the easiest ones because they usually have to be a question. I think demonstrative and indefinite ones can be a little more confusing, but I think interrogative ones are pretty straightforward. So number 1 is interrogative. Number 3, didn't anybody hear that crashing sound? She asked again. I put that one, number 3, as indefinite because the bolded word is anybody. And if you go back over to the reference sheet, anybody is under indefinite pronouns. And then the last one I'll do is number 4, which is that was a pretty loud noise, she continued. Again, the bolded word is that. I chose demonstrative because, again, if you go back to the reference page on page 39, that is an example of a demonstrative pronoun. So that is all I'm going to do for page 41. You guys are responsible for the rest of the page. Then moving on to page 42. So this one is weird because the way that it's set up, it looks like you should fill in every blank. That is not the case. I'm going to give you guys an example for indefinite, demonstrative, and interrogative, and then I'll tell you guys how many you are supposed to have total. I had to look up the answer key for this page just to make sure that I had done it right. So if you guys feel like you have all the words, don't keep trying to just pick random stuff in the paragraph. So it says underline the indefinite, demonstrative, and interrogative pronouns in the paragraph. Then write each of the underlined pronouns in the correct categories below. So for indefinite pronouns, you should have 3. For demonstrative pronouns, you should have 1. And then for interrogative pronouns, you should have 2. So again, you don't need to have every line filled. Just for indefinite is the one that you will have every line filled. So I will read the entire paragraph and then give an example for each one of the types of pronouns. Are you afraid of public speaking? When you have to give a speech, you may think, what if my audience is bored? Or which opening statement would be the best to use? Anyone can get nervous. Being prepared is the best way to calm yourself. Consider facial expressions, gestures, and visual aids. These can add to the effectiveness of your speech. Practice varying your vocal tones so everyone in your audience will stay awake. Think about your audience. Find ways to involve them in your presentation. Above all, don't panic. Prepare early and practice often, and you'll impress everyone in your audience. Okay, so one of the first ones I found was when. When you have to give a speech, you may think, what if my audience is bored? So I underlined when and wrote it under interrogative pronouns, again, because it's something that usually ends in a question. Moving on, we'll start at anyone can get nervous. I underlined anyone and wrote it under indefinite pronoun. And then if you jump down to the middle of the paragraph, these can add to the effectiveness of your speech. These is a demonstrative pronoun. Again, I knew which category these all fell into because I kept the reference sheet handy and was able to just look at the words on there and the words on here and figure out which ones go where based off the examples they gave. So that is it for rule number 10. We're going to move on to rule number 11, which is on page 43. Okay, so starting on page 43, rule 11, the antecedent of a pronoun is the noun or nouns to which the pronoun refers. This can be really confusing. I recommend looking at the examples to understand the definition. So after Marcus brushed his teeth, he went to bed. So Marcus is the antecedent and he is the pronoun. The antecedent doesn't have to be in the same sentence as the pronoun. Phyllis was excited to get a new computer. It was a great gift. So the antecedent is computer and it was a great gift. So again, the antecedent is what the pronoun refers to. A pronoun must agree with the antecedent in both gender and number. So this is a correct example. Raymond has a new skateboard. He took it to the skate park. The incorrect example is Raymond has a new skateboard. She took them to the skate park. Raymond isn't necessarily a woman's name, so that's how we know that that one is incorrect. So put this off to the side so you can use it to reference the next couple worksheets. So we're going to start on page 44. I'm only going to do a couple examples for each section. So A, circle the pronouns in these sentences. Draw a line from each pronoun to its antecedent. This page is really confusing if you have a bunch of lines going everywhere. So all I want you guys to do for each one of these sentences, I want you to find one antecedent and the pronoun that it goes with it for each sentence. Some of them have up to 3 or 4, and it just gets too hard to look at or try to grade, and you have like all these crisscrossing lines. So I'll do 1 and I will do 4. Number 1, Kathy is going camping with her friends this weekend. So I circled, what is this? Oh, I circled her because her is the pronoun. And then I drew a line from her to Kathy because Kathy is the antecedent. This runs really similar to the first example on page 43. And then jumping down to number 4, I circled he and drew an arrow from he to dad because the he is referencing Kathy's dad. So that's all you have to do for those examples. That's really confusing. So that's why I only want you guys to do one example in each sentence. So then if we move down to B, it says write a pronoun for each of these nouns. So again, if you need help with pronouns, I think if you reference Rule 9 and 10, it gives you a lot of examples of pronouns. But for Kathy, number 1, I just put she because you can replace Kathy with she, or you can reference Kathy with she. And then I'll do number 4, a tent. I put it because if you put I struggled to set up the tent, it blew away. It is referencing the tent. And then I'll do number 8, hiking boots and socks. I put them as the pronoun because if you say something like, I took off my hiking boots and socks, I placed them in the mudroom, you're referencing the boots and socks with them. So that's all we're going to do for page 44. You guys will have to do the rest of the page on your own. So then moving over to page 45, rewrite each of the sentences. Replace the word in bold with a pronoun. So I'll give you 2 examples from this page. So number 1, Jonathan has played the saxophone and the drums for 3 years. So the bolded word is your pronoun. You have to replace it you're replacing the pronoun. I'm sorry. So Jonathan is the word that needs replaced. And then you're going to rewrite the sentence to make sure that it aligns with your pronoun. So I put, he has played the saxophone and the drums for 3 years. You don't really have to change that sentence. It works fine if you use Jonathan or if you use he. And then I'll go down to, why don't we do number 5? Jonathan enjoys playing the saxophone and the drums. So Jonathan and the saxophone and the drums are bolded. So I replaced Jonathan again with he, and then I replaced the saxophone and the drums with them. So your new sentence could be, he enjoys playing them. It's not very descriptive, but that's how it works. So you guys can do the other 5 examples on that page. And then the last page of the grammar packet, page 46. So it says circle the correct pronouns in the paragraphs below. So you are going to just read through these paragraphs and circle the pronoun that makes the most sense. You're going to have to use your context clues, so the sentence usually before the one you're about to circle will help you understand the next one, if that makes sense. So Henry Bernard, 1811 to 1900, was a busy man. He was an educator, author, lawyer, and politician. I circled he because Henry is a male's name. He served in the Connecticut legislature and as president of a number of colleges. Again, I circled he because we're still talking about Henry. In all of his positions, he worked to reform America's educational system. I picked his because it is similar to he. We are still talking about Henry. And then I circled he again because we are still referencing Henry. And then for the last sentence, he saw many ways to improve it. He again references Henry. It, based off what we read in the last sentence, references America's educational system. It is only system, not systems. So I circled it because it is not plural. You guys can do the last paragraph on your own. But that is the entire grammar packet. If you guys have any questions, even if it's for rules that we have previously covered, not the ones that I did in this video, you can comment on the video, you can email me, you can text in Google Hangouts, contact me in the Google Classroom. Again, you guys will have time to work on your packets over spring break, but it is your spring break, so you're not required to work on them. But if you're behind, I'd recommend working on them. I will be checking my email at least once a day over spring break, so I probably won't get back to you as soon as I normally do, but I will respond. Let's see, the code word for today can be water bottle. I don't think I've used that yet. So again, with the whole code words, please do not share it with any of your classmates. You can email it to me. Just email it to me, because then no one else will get the password and no one else will get credit when they weren't actually here. But that is all I have for you guys. I will see you guys either Wednesday for the live session. 6th graders, you are invited to that too, or 6th grade, I will see you this coming Friday at 11 a.m.